Thank you to Sara. It's so cool to be in this living room for all the reasons mentioned already, and then I'm really in awe of the project that you created, Sara, and all the people that come out and all the young people and the ripple out effect that that will have. So thank you. This is a piece that I don't want to say too much about, but I call it an experimental essay of sorts. And thank you to my support team, John and Kai and Quinn, without whom not much would happen. Okay, monitored for quality, a bio essay explaining a few phenomenon. You can't get into your online bank account again. You call Bank of America's customer service, eager to recount the story of your life. They have a whole team of people who make their living because of people like you. You wind your way through the bank's automated menu to get to a real person, pacing in your living room as if muscle memory will bring back more than memories of pacing in your living room. You imagine that when the customer service team sees your blacklisted number blinking on the dashboard, catfights break out over who gets to deal with you. Surely the one most amenable to human incompetence, a new scratch through her eye, picks up. Hello, this is Amber. You explain your plight briefly. You explain that biology is your first plight, that your biology has rendered you something other than the miracle you were born to be. You explain your desperate attempts at account retrieval with great drama. You feel your baby of 13 weeks in the womb listening. This is how it's done. Social, she asks briskly, but you forget your own social security number. And this is where it really begins. Don't you have a copy? The clerk asks nicely. I wonder if you must audition for these parts. A copy, I ask? Do you have a copy of your earwax? Do you have a copy of your social security on record, she tries again, to iron out ambiguity the way a red light is unambiguous. A copy, I say, as if repetition is yes or no, as if repetition could itself produce a copy. She takes me for a no without making me into an idiot. Okay, let's try the secret word then. Amber's only agreeable. Name of your childhood pet? Pets have names, but there's no name for the pain you feel when someone else is trying too hard to be helpful. This is the kind of question for which no one with their memory intact can have no answer. Childhood pet? A surge of benign neglect rises, different from the usual nausea, as if only just now I realized I'd forgotten to feed the bird for 3 months. Some mothers have this dream about their newborns and wake in a panic in the night, the sweat that comes from holy terror over them in a sheet, breasts leaking milk. The only childhood pet I remember is the traumatized one, our obese but hungry blue and yellow parakeet, shells of chewed seeds and little curlicues of poop sticking to the sides of its empty food bowl. I feel the urge to tell her. We didn't take very good care of it, I say. I cannot tell if the remorse is in my voice or just filling my throat. Yes, she says in the careful neutral a therapist might use, but surely you named it. Surely. I pause. She pauses. I always picked the second to most obvious code word and so never remember it. Do you think I'll be a good mom, I ask? Do you remember your pet's name, she asks, which is only an answer if you think it is. I think we named it with my social security number, I admit. Oh, she concedes, emotionless, like confirming that the number 2 really is an integer. Okay. Mother's maiden name then, she tries. That never works, I assure her. It's nice to be certain and right about something. One hand on my belly. We dally. I recall my mother's everything drawer, the false molding at the bottom of the antique dresser where the important documents were kept haphazardly. The contents were mixed up intentionally with some unimportant but sentimental items to deter potential intruders from bothering. I'm 3 months pregnant, I say. The baby's still smaller than our pet bird was at its fattest. We weren't the best pet owners, and it didn't fly much, so it got dumpy. A very sad life for a pet, she agrees. And somehow, her confirmation makes it worse, like she's God's vetting secretary on the judgment day I don't believe is coming, but prepare for anyway. Ma'am, is there anything else I can help you with today? This invitation feels more like dismissal, This call is being monitored for quality assurance. I can't get into my account, I repeat, hoping it sounds like a fresh start, like an invitation to do better, the story of my life. I wonder if the whale was in Jonah's blind spot. That's right, ma'am, and I'm very sorry about that. May I suggest you call back later once you locate your personal data? What's your name, I object, even though I already know. Can I speak to your manager? That's such a bullheaded American question to call in superior rank. But you can't ask that of God when they tell you your embryo's neck length shows 5 out of 10 chance downs, or when the baby, not yet at all a baby, rushes out of you, not viable, in a slide of velvety blood. Or when, more simply, less and more tragically, you sit immersed and gaping in the vast pool of all that you do not and will not ever know, as I am doing. Of course, ma'am, she assures, but the manager isn't clairvoyant and won't know your social or your code word, and that's really all we need. Let me speak to him, I insist, one hand vigorously rubbing my belly, my baby's righteous and minuscule bulge. Her, she corrects. Her, then. I imagine the manager with angel's wings, rolling her eyes and hovering for quality assurance. I'll have to put you on hold, she warns. I spend most of my life on hold, I yell, and I only realize I'm yelling when our pet parrots, so well cared for by my husband, start squawking. I'm pregnant, I yell, so even God can hear. I'm permanently on hold. Yelling feels really good. I shake my fist in the air, too, which I've never done before. I feel like an angry character in the novel of an amateur writer who wants to be sure that gesture matches up with and reinforces dialogue. She's waiting to see if I'm done yelling. I realize how oddly kind and quality it is to not put a raging person on hold, since the hold button is undoubtedly her power tool. None of this is her fault, but oh, how I want it to be. She takes a breath. Maybe that's part of their training, the useful automaton. I lost a pregnancy at 13 weeks, Amber says, and after that, it took me a very long time to find anything. The baby swishes in my belly, unlost. Babies know everything, but only because there's no such thing yet. Friendly advice, Amber continues. Write it down and put it in your underwear drawer. Our birds go quiet. She puts the call on hold and tinny music floods the receiver. So many old lady pots and pans in a cymbal-heavy orchestra piece. No strings or lyrical moments, all percussive triumph. I put the phone on speaker, sit down at the table, and close my eyes. I focus on each number from 1 to 10, as if I'll just feel energetically the accurate first digit of my social, and then maybe the rest will follow in a rush, the way a baby's head is the hardest part to birth, but the rest slides out with comparable ease. Or the way a memory arises whole of, say, your mother calling you to say the pet bird died finally in its own pebbly shit, but they waited a month to tell you, not wanting to give you a heartache at school during finals. But sometimes waiting unfruitfully is the greatest heartache. And the music drones on hold for 5 minutes and counting. Maybe the manager angel is tending to worst-case scenarios first, and I'm momentarily comforted by the fact that there may be someone more hysterical and confused than me. In this life, there's so much to keep track of and so much to lose. 10 minutes now. John comes home, sees me with my head in my hands, the ever-emotional pregnant one. He slides in behind me at the table, wraps his arms around my middle, presses his heart against the back of mine, the place our baby came from, where I feel the beating most acutely. Neither of us feels the baby feeling the same, a little imp afloat in its fist-sized sack of water, but surely, surely. A few tears come now, as they do when one is finally found, and then a stream. Perhaps the code word question should be, what makes you weep? I'll suggest that to Amber or the angel, whoever picks up next. Meanwhile, with John holding me and with no reason for grief, I mourn my social security number like it was a creature I was supposed to care for, keep track of, and feed. The music track changes, a fluttering drumbeat, as if so many wings flapping against the Chinook, getting nowhere, and after 15 minutes, feeling the number 1 and nothing further, I realize she's never coming back. Thanks.